Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute since I filmed a video. The last couple weeks have been kind of hectic, so I had to take a little bit of a break, kind of get myself back together. I've been traveling around a bunch. I kind of had a little bit of an incident at a shoot in Mexico, so things just got a little bit crazy, but I'm back here today to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on in my life, and I'm gonna do that modeling Q&A in this video as well. So, like 3 weeks ago-ish, on March 18th, I went to Miami for a job. I had just posted a video, I think that weekend or that week. I was planning on posting more and filming more that following week, but then I was leaving Miami on the 19th. My friend Josie called me and she was like, hey, would you be interested in going to Mexico for this job? I was like, yeah, when is it? And she's like, we literally fly to Mexico tomorrow. So I was like, oh my god, that's kind of crazy, but it was a really good opportunity. We got to go to Puerto Vallarta, and I was like, sure, like, let's do it. And I actually didn't even know if I was confirmed until I landed in LA the night of the 19th, and I landed at like 11 p.m. or something. So I found out that I was flying to Mexico literally the next day, and I was in Mexico for that full week. So I did film a video that will be up later in April. I have to wait till that campaign launches, but while I was out there, I actually ended up getting burned. I don't know if you guys can see this. While I was shooting. Pause for my dog to quit barking. P.S. I'm home in Albuquerque right now. This is not my LA room, if you guys noticed. This is gonna take a minute, hold on. Anyway, so while I was in Mexico, I got this burn. It was a 3rd-degree burn, so I had to go to the hospital and get it treated when I came back to LA. And it was just a little bit of a rough week after that. It's almost fully healed now. I'm gonna have a pretty bad scar, but you know, sometimes modeling can be a dangerous job, so that happened. And then I was just busy like last week working and all that stuff. I shot the guest campaign with Nick, if you guys follow me on Instagram, and that video will be up hopefully right after this one. Then I flew out to Albuquerque to see my family. Next week, let's see, I leave on Monday the 9th to go back to LA, and then I'm going to Coachella. So it's just been a very crazy end of the month, start of April, but I'm really happy and really excited that I've been traveling so much, I've been working so much, and it's been awesome. So I'm going to try to obviously film while I'm at Coachella. It's my first year. I'm super excited to go, so that'll be super fun. Unfortunately, my best friend Megan is not able to go with me, so that's a little bit of a bummer, but I'm going to try to make the most of it, try to have a good time out there. So definitely will be filming a video out there for you guys. Is there anything else I have to update you guys on? I think that's pretty much it. Now to get to the second part of the video where we do the little modeling Q&A. Sorry that this has been so delayed on my channel, but let's get that part started. So the first question, which was the most popular, there's going to be 9 questions, by the way. There was more, but most of them were kind of similar, so I condensed it down to 9. But the question I get all the time is, how did you get into modeling? So I can't remember if I've told this story on my channel before. I can't remember if it was mine or Nick's, but anyway, here it is again if I have told it. I was 17. I was working here in Albuquerque at a PacSun. I don't know if everyone knows what that is, but it's just a retail store that has like clothes, swimsuits, kind of like surf, skate brands. But I was working there. We got a new employee. His name was Orlando. Love you, Landy. And he was working at a local modeling agency here in Albuquerque, and he was like, oh my god, have you ever thought about modeling? And I was like, well, yeah, like, I don't know. I was pretty shy, but yeah, he was like, you should let me send some photos to the agent at the agency that I work at, and maybe you can get into it. So I was like, yeah, for sure. So he just took some photos on his phone, sent them over, and they contacted me. I don't remember what the time in between was, but yeah, they contacted me. My mom and I came in for a meeting, and they wanted to do like a photo shoot, but we had to pay for it. So I was a little bit skeptical whether or not it was like a scam, but actually I knew about Megan, and she was with them, and she was like already really successful in modeling. So I was like, okay, it has to be like pretty legit. So I signed with them, did that photo shoot. I was still in high school at the time, but they actually were able to sign me with a couple agencies in Miami and in LA. So the first place I traveled was LA for a winter break of my senior year in high school. Then I went to Miami for spring break, and then when I graduated high school, I came out to LA for the first time and spent my summer there, just trying to go in castings and book jobs. And it was definitely slow at first. Like, I did not work a lot that first summer. I think my first big job I booked was that October. I booked Hollister, which that's kind of another one of these questions, but that was my first job. It was actually for Gilly Hicks, which I don't think that exists anymore, but it was like their lingerie, sleep, like intimates brand. So I did a lookbook for Gilly Hicks, so that was my first job, and it was like crazy. I still remember the moment I was sitting at a table. I was already in college, so I was at UNM, which is the university I went to, just sitting there studying, and I got an email from my agency in Miami being like, yeah, you booked your first job, it's for Hollister, and I literally like jumped and screamed and called my mom, so that was a super exciting moment. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. Sorry, that was a long-winded story, but I got scouted, got signed with other agencies in other markets, and that's how I got started. So the next question is tips on how to break into the industry. I always tell people kind of the same story. I feel like every model kind of does this. I mean, the way that I did it and the way I think most people do it is to try to find like a mother agency like in an area where you live. If you live in a super small town, there might not be one, but if there's like a major city near where you live, usually there'll be like small agencies. Like we have one here in Albuquerque, even though it's a really small town and there's no work here, but you kind of get signed with those mother agencies and then they can help you get signed into bigger markets. Usually though, like in the beginning, you do have to spend money, you do have to travel to those markets to meet with people. Sometimes people aren't going to sign you just without meeting you, so you do have to do a little traveling, spend a little money to make a little money. So yeah, I mean, I would just try to submit yourself to a local agency, or if you do live in a bigger market, submit yourself to those agencies or go in for open calls. Like in LA and New York, obviously they have agencies that have open calls when anyone can come in and show them photos and meet with them. So yeah, if you aren't modeling yet, maybe try to work with some photographers that will work with people who are trying to break into the industry. Build yourself a little portfolio. I had no pictures when I started. I just started with digitals, but I was pretty young and I think that's pretty normal. So yeah, that's my tips, and just really have thick skin because you know, everyone gets rejected and it's obviously hard to be told no, but it's not the end. Like I've heard no so many times and I still am here working today. So yeah, just believe in yourself, be confident, be true to yourself, and that's it. The third question is, how tall do you have to be a model? I think this standard has changed a lot since the beginning of modeling. Like everyone used to be like tall as hell, like skinny for like fashion purposes, which, you know, fashion models are still really tall and skinny, but I think that, you know, there's a lot more leniency when it comes to height in the modeling world these days. I would say that the standard number that comes up for women is like over 5'9", and for men it's probably over 6 feet, but I know men and women that are under those heights that are working. So if you're not 5'9" or 6 foot, I wouldn't say like, oh my god, you can't be a model, but it's all about fitting into sample sizes. So that's why they choose people who are tall, because usually, you know, if you're shorter, the pants will be too long or the shirt will be too long or whatever the case may be. So it really just depends. It depends on the agency, it depends on the market, and it depends on the client. Question number 4, which agencies do you recommend? This is another question that, like, I don't think there's one sole answer to this because every agency is different, just like every model is different. You kind of have to find an agency that works for your look and your brand. Like some agencies are more geared towards like high fashion, some are more commercial, so it kind of depends like what you want to do, what they see you doing. So I mean, obviously definitely do your research. Don't sign with an agency that has a bad rep, but there's a lot of great agencies, ones that, you know, that I'm not even signed with, but I do love all the agencies that I'm with. Obviously they work great for me. I'm more on the commercial spectrum of things, so that's what works for me. Like I'm not gonna go sign with like a super high fashion agency because that's not really my look. So it just depends on what kind of modeling you want to do. Does age matter in the modeling industry? I would say age matters to an extent in modeling, but obviously there's jobs for people of all ages. I mean, I think it might be a little bit easier if you get started a little bit younger, because you can kind of like work your way up and you can kind of go from like junior jobs to like adult jobs, and you probably have a longer career rather than if you got started like in your 20s. But I think that people get started at all ages. I didn't start till I was like 18. There's people that started when they were 14. I know people who started in their 20s. So I don't think that it's like a necessarily like if you're, you know, in your 20s, like you're not going to get signed somewhere. But I think most people probably break into the industry when they're in their teenage years. Have you ever done fashion shows? I have. I've never done Fashion Week, if that's like what this person means. I've never done fashion shows like in New York or in, actually I've done presentations in New York, but never like, oh, there's a giant yellow jacket hitting my window. Just had a heart attack. Sorry, I've never done Fashion Week or big fashion shows like in New York or Europe. but I have done shows in Miami and for like actual big designers, and I have also done presentations in New York, so, but never Fashion Week. The stress of Fashion Week and just stories I've heard from friends, I just don't really think it's for me, but obviously it's awesome, and kudos to runway girls because it's definitely terrifying and you have to have a lot of courage and a lot of stamina to get through Fashion Week. So what has been your favorite job? This is always a really hard question because I really do enjoy the majority of my jobs. Like, I get to meet awesome people. I get to travel around. Like, every job is different. Most people like take really good care of us, and it's just, you know, it's hard to pick a favorite one. Let me think. I really don't know if I could pick a favorite. One that always sticks in my mind was when I got to go to the Keys and shoot for Self magazine. That was super cool. It was like my first big magazine shoot. Got to be in a very beautiful place. That was awesome. My first job, just because it's such a monumental moment for me. And I think one of the first campaigns I shot was for Uniqlo in New York, and I got to meet Pharrell. That was pretty awesome, but like I said, it's hard to pick a favorite. Like, all of them are super enjoyable. And the one that I just did with Nick was really cool because it was our first time shooting together, and it was for G by Guess, which was awesome. So yeah, I would say those are some of my favorites. And the last question is best advice for young people in the industry. I feel like I kind of gave this earlier, but I would just say, you know, stay true to yourself, believe in yourself. I know it sounds really cheesy and cliche, but it's hard, you know, like a lot of people really lose themselves in this industry and in the big cities, so just try to like keep yourself grounded, keep yourself humble, even if you're doing well, and you really believe in yourself, and surround yourself with people who believe in you as well, and just have thick skin because, like I said, there's a lot of rejection in this industry, and don't let what other people think of you or say, you know, affect who you are, because at the end of the day, like, that's what matters the most. So yeah, it's definitely hard and it breaks a lot of people down, so just always believe in yourself, always have people who lift you up around you, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Sorry if that got a little preachy at the end, but anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry again about being MIA. I'm going to try to get back on it after Coachella and everything, but I'm excited for the videos that are coming up on this channel. Excited to show you guys what I've been working on, so I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Also, look how beautiful it is outside here.